The Wizards fall to the Indiana Pacers, 127 to 117 at home. In this episode, we're going to discuss my takeaways from this game. We're going to do a preview of the Boston Celtics game on Sunday and the keys to victory. Next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon again. I'm rolling solo tonight. Thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. So, the Washington Wizards fall to the Indiana Pacers 127 to 117 at home. And, man, I'm telling you, Indiana came to play. They came to play. The Washington Wizards were humbled tonight. Now, the Wizards did come out in the second half with some velocity, but fell to the Indiana Pacers. So let's get into some stats with our rotation. Now, the Wizards did run a 9-man rotation, obviously, because as you know, Delon Wright is out, and it was felt tonight. Delon Wright's presence was, or lack of presence, was felt, but we'll get to that in a minute. So, Bradley Beal, 31 points tonight. He showed out. He played well tonight. He kept us in the game. Get down to the big three. KP, 22 points. 22 points. Kuz, 18 points, 9 rebounds. So, 22 from KP, 18 points, 9 rebounds from Kuz. Now, bringing up Denny. Denny did bring the ball up in certain situations. So that was, and, obviously to a reaction to Delon Wright being out. So, previous episode, me and Ed touched base on, the options, who would bring the ball up. The certain options were Bradley Beal, under staggered minutes, bringing the ball up, or as a lot of you recommended. And, we talked about Denny bringing the ball up, which they showed tonight. Denny did bring the ball up, and I thought that was a good sign. I thought he was fluid when he brought the ball up. So, looking at the bench, Rui added 10 points, Gaff 10 points, and Barton 9 points. And shout out to Johnny Davis. First NBA points. It took a little bit, but he did it. Hey, he's still young. Obviously, I think I see a stint in the G League for him, but he has the intangibles to be a decent NBA player. So it's going to take patience, but congratulations to Johnny Davis. First NBA points. Congrats. So the Wizards, first half, I guess I'll slide right into my takeaways. The first half, the Pacers scored 70 points first half. That's a sign right there. But my 3 main takeaways is this. Number 1, Defense was an issue. Transition defense and defensive communication was very poor. Buddy Hield and Tyrese Halliburton were able to get shots on the perimeter. They did it with ease. It was just the perimeter defense was very poor. The Pacers were able to bring up the ball very fast. Their shooters set up in the perimeter, and just due to miscommunication, it took forever for our guys to get on perimeter defense. Buddy Hield was cooking tonight. Let's get into the Pacers. Real quick. Combined, Halliburton and Hield combined scored 50 points. Now, we're going to get into Miles Turner because he was cooking tonight. He was cooking like an air fryer tonight. So, defense has to get better. Defense was atrocious. And obviously, with Delon Wright being out, our defensive prowess was going to take a hit. So, tonight showed how important Delon Wright has been to this team on the defensive end. Defensive communication was good under him. Now, we had issues here and there, but overall, it was fluid. So he was definitely playing the quarterback of the second unit. But tonight, it was just atrocious, man. People were lost in the defensive end, and it led to a lot of open 3-point shots from the Indiana Pacers. Look, this backcourt of Halliburton and Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield's a shooter. He was a shooter in Sacramento, yeah, and New Orleans. He's a shooter. That's his forte. So the fact that the defense didn't focus on him in transition defense is just it's comical because we got cooked. So like I said, 50 combined points from Tyrese Halliburton and Buddy Hield. Miles Turner, 27 points. His presence was felt. Obviously, he didn't play the first game that the Wizards and the Pacers played, and he did whatever he wanted. Defensively in the paint, you know, they couldn't contain him. KP offensively, we already touched base 22 points, so he contributed on the offensive end. But Miles Turner, man, that shows another area on the defense that this team has to improve on because, like we always say, this Eastern Conference is a monster. Embiid is a center who can score from the outside. The list, Giannis, who can play the 4 and the 5. His 3-point shot is developing. It's just there's a lot of big man in this Eastern Conference that they're going to have to contain. And Miles Turner, while he's how do I say this? Is he on the line to maybe a potential All-Star? Maybe, but he's a very good starter. So for him to drop 27 points, look, schedule going forward, Celtics, 76ers are coming up. So you're looking at Al Horford and you're looking at Joel Embiid twice. So that has to be shored up. So number 2, free throws. The Indiana Pacers shot 22 free throws in the first half. That is terrible. That's a lack of defensive discipline. The defensive end, they took a big hit tonight. The discipline was terrible. 22 free throws in the first half. And that contributed to that early run. At one point, it was 20-some point lead. In the first half, the Indiana Pacers were cooking. Obviously we West made adjustments and we made it a game in the fourth quarter. But again, 22 free throws shouldn't happen. And number 3, ISO versus ball movement. Ball movement was not very good tonight. I saw a lot from Bradley Beal, a few times from Rui. A lot of ISO plays, dribbling 15 seconds and then trying to drive the lane or shoot a fadeaway. That's got to stop. This team is great when there's ball movement, when the ball is distributed, when the ball is distributed at a fast pace. When we start getting the ISO ball, it's just not that I don't think that Bradley Beal is a good ISO player, but dribbling the ball for 15 seconds and then trying to make a move is just not efficient offense. It's just not. So I saw that plenty of times from Brad. He would dribble, try to make his move, and then when he didn't get the outlet he wanted, he would try to shoot a jumper, and very often than not, So ISO versus ball movement. We need to cut down on ISO plays, and we need to distribute the ball faster. So that is my takeaways from the Indiana Pacers and Washington Wizards game. But before we move on to the Boston Celtics on Sunday, today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. How does it work? Pick 2 to 5 players, and if they go score more or less than their prize pick projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on any entry. I bet tonight on the Wizards game, and I tell you, I took an L. The Wizards were the only one to take an L tonight. No competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. Prize Picks offers projections on any sport that you can watch. This includes the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, and all college sports, and the WNBA, NASCAR, tennis, MMA, boxing, and cricket. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. Safe and fast withdrawals. Currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. Download the PrizePicks apps or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code LOCKDOwn or LOCK ON. Listen to me. If you deposit $100, PrizePicks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, PrizePicks will give you $50. Don't forget to enter promo code LOCKED ON at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. Also, thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast. The biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Available on Odyssey, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. So, Sunday, the Boston Celtics. It's going to be a tough one. This is where you get into the thick of the Eastern Conference. We kind of got a soft schedule going up, and I think that was a good thing. It kind of gears up for these top tier teams in the East. Obviously going 1-1 against the Indiana Pacers. Now you get into the meat of the Eastern Conference. Looking at the projected, real quick, the projected Wizards rotation will probably be the same. Now, Corey Kispert will be available for the Boston Celtics game. So if he plays, I see him taking minutes away from Johnny Davis. Not that Johnny Davis got significant minutes anyways, but he will slide right in nicely playing the 2 guard behind Brad. Like I said, tonight was a 9-man rotation. So, obviously it was Morris, Bill, Denny, Kuz, KP on the bench. Rui, Barton, Gaff, and Johnny Davis came in. And I believe Gill did get minutes, but they ran a 9-man rotation. I see the same with the Boston Celtics, a 9-man rotation. I think that they will slot in Corey Kispert, and I think his shooting is much needed right now. 3-point shooting got better in this game, but just the first half was just whoo. So, looking at the projected Boston Celtics lineup, at point guard, it looks like they're going to run Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart is a defensive prize. He is a very underrated point guard. So I'm very interested to see how Monte Morris matches up with him. Uh, as shooting guard, Derek White. Derek White is a crafty guard who can shoot. I think that he shouldn't be too hard of an assignment for Brad. I think Brad will be all right, but he is a player to look at. Let's see. Small forward, Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown, Denny. I think this will be an interesting matchup for Denny, but I think Denny's gonna be all right. Denny's, defense is not his issue. You know, shooting the ball. He's working on the shot. You can see that. So I'm not worried about Denny. I think that it will be a good matchup to watch because if this is a playoff atmosphere type of game. If we go into the playoffs, you know, shutting down Jaylen Brown is something you want to see from Denny. So I'm very interested to see how he plays against Jaylen Brown. And obviously Jason Tatum at the 4. Just like Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum can float between the 3 and the 4. So again, Kuzma, this is going to be a big assignment for Kuz. Can he, you know, Jason Tatum, he can play. He is a superstar in his league. So, it's not a mistake why Boston made it to the show, made it to the NBA Finals. I mean, Jason Tatum is a superstar talent. So I think that this is a big mission stick matchup for Kuz. And so I'm very interested to see how he plays him. And obviously going to the 5, Al Horford. He can't shoot from the arc. It's not the prettiest shot, but he can do it. But look, he's a center. He's a long time vet in his league. He's a crafty center. So, KP, how he matches up again. This is a playoff atmosphere type of game. If we're serious about being a playoff contender, you know, you want to play good against Boston. And like I said, we have Boston and we got the 76ers coming up twice. So this is going to be 3 major measuring stick games for the Washington Wizards. It's going to show everybody, including themselves, whether they are a play-in or a potential playoff team, because these are the games you have to win, especially early on. Early momentum going into hopefully going into a winning streak. You've got to beat these big teams. Now, Indiana, look, they humbled us tonight. They showed that these young, hungry teams in the Eastern Conference, like the Pistons, like the Indiana Pacers, they're going to test us. They want nothing more than to knock off a playoff team. They came ready to play. So that would be the potential starting 5 for the Boston Celtics. Now, one bench player I won't mention is Malcolm Brogdon, a name that was floated in offseason as a potential move for the Washington Wizards, but we ended up going with Monte Morris and Will Barton coming over from Denver. But Malcolm Brogdon was a name that was a potential move for the Wizards at the point guard position. There's a reason for that. Now, has he had injury issues? Yes, he has, but he is a guard who can shoot, who can distribute, he's got good vision, and he can play defense. So, it's big reasons, why we went after him. So that's a matchup that I want to see from Kispert. If he's going to play the 2, how Kispert is going to play against him. If they give Johnny Davis minutes, how Johnny Davis reacts. Because like I said, Brogdon is a crafty guard. So, that is the potential lineup for the Boston Celtics and the one bench player that I wanted to highlight. So real quick, the keys to victory. All right. I'm going to make it easy tonight, people. The keys of victory are going to be my takeaways from the Indiana Pacers game. Am I being a little lazy? Nah. I think these keys of victory have to be the takeaways from this game against the Indiana Pacers. Defense has to improve. To beat the Boston Celtics, you've got to be on your game defensively because, look, Jason Tatum, he can play. Jaylen Brown, they can play. This team is going to test defenses. They are a perennial contending team for a title. So you've got to be on your game defensively. The defensive communication has to get better. That comes with not deep, well, obvious defense, but that comes with leadership. A few times when there was poor communication on transition defense tonight, I noticed that Bradley Beal was kind of behind. He didn't say too much. That has to improve. Leadership has to improve. Delon Wright is a major subtraction from this team, especially defensively. So the leaders have to step up. Bradley Beal, Kyle Kuzma, Porzingis, they have to step up. They have to be that voice on the defensive end. They have to get in people's faces. That is leadership. Jordan, the GOAT. People call him, you hate him or love him, is debates whether he was a good teammate, but he would get in your face. He held his teammates to a standard. The same goes for Kobe Bryant. The same goes for LeBron James. The same goes for any franchise player or superstar, somebody who demands respect in this league. And if Bradley Beal wants to demand respect in this league, he's got to be that voice in the locker room. That includes digging into some butt. He has got to get in people's face. He cannot just, walk slowly back. Nah, they've got to get back. Transition defense and defensive communication is one of my keys to victory. Next, same free throws. We have to prevent free throws and we have to get to the line more. We have to attack the basket. Now, is Monte Morris a guard who attacks the basket on a high volume? No, he's not. But Kuz, even tonight, Kuz has shown the ability to drive the lane and with his size, do it with ease and even get a lot of these hard layups. Kuz has been on point. Obviously, Bradley Beal. So we have guys who can drive the lane. We have to drive the lane more, especially these two players I just mentioned. They've got to drive the lane. They've got to drive the lane. We've got to get to the free throw line more, and we've got to convert them. And finally, ISO versus ball movement. We already heard it before. ISO ball versus ball movement. We've got to improve our ball movement. We've got to distribute the ball. None of these, dribbling 15 seconds to the shot clock and then heaving it. No, we got to get out of that. This is a team. This team wins when we play team basketball. This team loses when we play individual basketball in the show tonight. Maul, can you say this would be a different game with more ball movement? Absolutely. I think this is a win. I think if we did not perform so many ISO wasting the shot clock, and if we really got back to team basketball, offensive distribution, I think this is a win. So I think it's very important. I think this ball movement is key. So these are my 3 keys to victory. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up tonight, guys. Thank you for listening. As I said, Sunday, Boston Celtics, tune in, and let's get this dub. Now, all right. So again, Sunday, Boston Celtics, tune in. Let's get this team a dub. We need some help from the fans, so let's get it. So again, thank you for tuning in tonight. Definitely check out me and E on Twitter and Instagram. So everybody have a good night and peace.